You're listening to Music Tectonics.
Welcome back to Music Tectonics, where we go beneath the surface of music and tech. I'm your host, Dmitri. I'm also the founder and CEO of Rock, Paper, Scissors, the marketing and PR firm that specializes in music innovation. And today we are celebrating 400 episodes of the Music Tectonics podcast. For our 400th episode, we thought we'd do something a little different and talk about trade shows. I just got back from CES. Our team's getting ready for NAMM next week, and I'm seeing a lot of conversations about whether or not trade shows and conferences are still worth it in 2026. So we're going to answer that question, as well as talk about some cool innovations that I saw at CES this year and what we've got planned for NAMM. But first, the news.
Rock, paper, scanner.
Hey everybody, this is Trista Neer-Yeager, Chief Writer at Rock, Paper, Scissors, and I am back once again for our very first news roundup of 2026. You hear me rounding up the news. It's like herding the cats. And with me, of course, is Dmitri Vrch, the CEO, founder, and head honcho at Rock, Paper, Scissors and Music Tectonics. How are you doing, Dmitri?
Happy New Year. I'm doing great. How are you, Tristra?
I'm doing fine. You started off the new year in the old traditional way of going to Las Vegas for CES. And so I wanted to pick your brain just a touch about what exactly you saw there and how it relates to music tech. So first
I'm just
off,
back.
Yeah, I know. So it's really fresh. We're getting you before you've had a chance to process fully. But let me know, what do you think were some of the bigger overarching themes that you noticed at CES? What was going on there?
Glasses. There were a lot of glasses, a lot of AR glasses from all over the world. Everybody's working on glasses. And I walked by some and I just thought, AR glasses. And then I saw a sign that said AI glasses. And I was like, oh, I guess they're AR AI glasses as well. But of course, there were tons of robots there. There were robots that will automatically mow your lawn. There were robots that will go swimming in the bottom of your pool and clean the bottom of your pool, the regular vacuum cleaners, the dogs we've seen over the years. It seemed like they were maybe the innovators out there of robots are starting to think about how to do childcare with robots. There were a lot of little furry robots that looked like they had cameras and things like that. I think people are going to start outsourcing all sorts of things. I overheard somebody mention that all these are task-specific robots, which is kind of interesting. Like, I guess you have to train each robot and build and engineer each robot for the particular task. Is it going to be swimming? Is it going to be on grass? Is it going to be in the rain? Is it going to be climbing upstairs? But eventually, I think you'll also see a butler. You know, I know those exist, but like a butler that can do more of these types of things together. So there's a lot of task-specific robots. Oddly enough, I saw multiple smart bird feeders where you have cameras and things, and I don't know what else they did.
I've seen one of those in the flesh, and I mean, they're great if you really want to identify what birds are at your feeder or what squirrels.
I mean, it's a really cool idea. I was just surprised that there were several of them across the huge trade hall in the convention center. And there were also several technology, electronic devices that had to do with plants. And some of them were like, you know, smart plant watering while you're gone, or so you never have to water again. There was one that definitely was like, it had kind of like steam coming down over a beautiful open air terrarium. And there were like different models.
Wow.
So there was a lot of interesting stuff. Nobody talks about IoT, Internet of Things anymore. Nobody talks about smart homes. Nobody talks about all that kind of stuff, but it is all there. It is all still very much happening. I would say one of my biggest takeaways there was there were a lot of companies from China, Korea, India. It is a very, very, very international and especially East Asian event, both in terms of who's innovating and presenting, but also in terms of who's attending too. So that, I mean, I don't think that's not necessarily surprising, but when you're in the midst of it, you really get a sense. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who couldn't come because of visas or whose business is different because of tariffs, but I don't think it's changing the general trend of what's happening with Chinese technology here.
No, that's great. So what did you see that besides glasses, which of course have a big audio component, and there's a lot of talk about audio being sort of like the approach that's going to work best with glasses, not just like overlays on in your visual field. I'm curious, what else did you see that or hear that related to music and audio technology?
Well, there's definitely a lot of headphones. There's a lot of innovation in headphones, a lot of bone conduction headphones, waterproof headphones, AI headphones, translation, things like that are coming into play where the app that comes with headphones will have specific functions as well. Speakers, tons of speakers. Gemini had a huge, beautiful amplifier that you can throw in your swimming pool and turn it upside down.
Wow.
Yeah.
With your robot. Your robot
Yeah.
can swim and your amp can swim and everyone can have fun in the pool.
You don't even have to go to the pool anymore. You can just send all your devices to the pool
Your
now.
devices can go swimming for you. How convenient.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot of headphones and speakers, a lot of AI related translation, noise reduction, things like that. Obviously, I didn't go to the Dolby stuff, but they were there. And I would say, it was harder to find things that were specific to music. There was a little more karaoke, a lot of karaoke machines, karaoke services as well. In-car, Stingray has in-car karaoke, which looked pretty fun. I saw somebody
That actually does
rocking
sound
out inside a
fun.
minivan with a really
Yeah.
nice display and really rocking out on karaoke there. And then there were things like the smaller things, the nooks and crannies. Actually, we're going to put out some videos that I shot at CES. If you follow Music Tectonics on Instagram, you can see Vrch, VRCH, is a prototype of a VJ device, a console. The expectation is DJs could now do AI chat in this console and it will impact what's on the visuals. They can start to introduce imagery on screen from typing while DJing.
That sounds
And then
really
it also
cool.
has a camera facing the DJ so the DJ's face can show up on the screen, but through like AI modulation visuals. So it has a lot of other features you can tweak too. That was fun, VRCH. I also talked to a kids product that looks almost like the size of a small TV remote, but it's got a beautiful color screen. It's audio though. The whole point is you can have your kids make up characters and then it will tell you a story about the characters that you just made up. Or you can listen to other audio. And then it also works as a secure phone. Only parents can call it. That's called Vobble. So I did an interview and a demo with that. So you can check that out. I ran into Crosley, the turntable and radio company. They have those beautiful suitcase, low-end. They have some high-end stuff too, but some low-end suitcase turntables. They recently did a campaign where they had 250 schools. They sent out turntables to these schools and they actually got to paint the turntables, and it was like an art contest, and then they gave away turntables to the winners and things like that. That was super cool. And there's some haptic stuff going on. There's some cool headphones with haptics in them as well, where you can feel it vibrating on your ears.
Great for gaming, I assume.
Yeah. And for honestly, I listened with music. It was super fun. It made my nose a little itch, but
Yeah.
that's true when I play the didgeridoo as well. So, and then I guess one other just interesting find in the music realm was actually not on the trade floor, but I met up at the Audio Sync meetup. Everybody in music tech should always check out Marisol Siegel, Mike Gubman, and Priz's Audio Sync meetup, the best gathering that I went to there for connecting with the music tech community. I met Sleevenote, which is a new device. It's a player, but it displays artwork, and it's meant to be, you download music, put it on there like an iPod, but then you have this beautiful interface. That's why it's called Sleevenote. So you can read the liner notes, see the artwork, etc.
Well, that's really awesome. I love it.
Yeah, fun little discoveries. Check them out on Instagram at Music Tectonics.
Well, I want to make sure we don't give short shift to the news.
Yeah. I mean, I've been out of it, Tristram, so I need to find out from you. What news have we scanned for the last week?
Well, one of the biggest deals that came through was UMG and NVIDIA announced a partnership that will involve AI in a bunch of different realms, mostly music discovery and music creation. And there's sort of this idea of an artist-led music creation. One thing that, there's a really great coverage in Music Business Worldwide, as usual, that sort of talks about the general contours of the deal. But if you want to go in from kind of a slightly more intriguing perspective, Music Ally probably won this last week's Best Headline Award for calling it Flamingo Bingo. Flamingo is the name of NVIDIA's music model. And they also bring up that UMG apparently has a laboratory devoted to machine learning that hasn't been widely sort of publicized, but has been hinted at on LinkedIn through some key people there, and then is kind of got a little bit of the veil taken off it with the announcement of this deal. So it'll be interesting to see what a major label is doing in-house to work with AI, and how, what would a major labels model look like versus something like a Udio or a Suno, or just, a sort of general purpose people who aren't coming from the music industry or aren't deeply musical.
I was trying to figure out from this if it had to do with sync and video, because there was some talk in there about extensive audiovisual catalog, probably because they wanted both sides of the rights covered for this. But it did make me wonder. They also, Music Ally, Stuart Dredge, referred to strong shades of UMG's 2023 agreement with YouTube, where they also set up a music AI incubator to work on creation tools, which is what the press release said for the NVIDIA deal. And it just made me wonder, is this about video? Is this about music with video? Or is it, like surfacing the right music for video, or maybe even creating music specifically for video versus having songs that are getting released in the commercial market?
I think that's a really great point. And with sort of Spotify's big lean into video for both podcasts and music, I think there's definitely, and not to mention all the other social platforms that are very video first, that sounds like a very important thing to note in that deal. So
it'll be interesting to see what they do with this, like whether this is a Suno competitor or if this is a totally different product that monetizes UMG's catalog in interesting ways that's in a much more closed system, like you just release it, for video licenses or something like that.
Or something very artist specific that works as sort of like both a creation tool that's also a promotional tool, or a fan, something that charges up the super fans, the way Sir Lucian Grange mentioned in his big 2026 memo that was also reported on widely last week. Anyway, there's
I guess
some other
before
stuff.
we go on, I will say it's interesting to see this story coming from UMG rather than saying, hey, we're doing a deal with an AI company. It's more saying this type of partnership is kind of from the ground up, built from whatever their criteria are for how they want their music trained to be used for AI. So not only does it impact attribution, licensing, payouts, et cetera, but it also is really in the product development. Like, what does the product do? So that's an interesting shift that the story you found kind of tells.
And I think that's a great point, because this time around, with this big wave of innovation, disruption, whatever you want to call it, it almost feels like the labels and some other music companies are kind of trying to get even earlier in that, like get ahead of. It's not just we want to license stuff right away, or we want to work with you before you even need a license. It's like we want to make the thing that licenses are like, we're not even working with an outside tech platform as much, or it almost feels like they're getting earlier in the sort of pipeline, which is kind of interesting. Well, there's a lot of other news. It's the beginning of the year, so stuff is starting to roll out. There's a lot of predictions and hints at what's going to happen in things like live music and ticketing, but I'm sure we'll get to cover that in another week. A couple interesting little nuggets from Spotify. We had some questions from Digital Music News about whether Spotify is looking to get just basically sunset their basic music-only subscription. And also, Spotify continues to lean into recreating the social features that they took away several years ago, which like you can see what your friends are listening to, which is, I have to say, one of my favorite Discovery channels back in the day. And I've found some of my favorite bands that way. And they're also letting you do all sorts of other messaging, and you can ask people to come and jam with you, et cetera, et cetera. So cool stuff there.
I looked in Spotify, I even updated my Spotify app to see if I could see this friend activity. I couldn't find it. I looked at the little pictures in Music Business Worldwide that has Spotify showing how you, was that where it was? Or maybe it was on their blog post. It might have been the link from there to the blog post that shows how you look at people's activity or shared message. I couldn't see it. I saw the jam with, but I did not see the messaging. So I don't know if it's just getting rolled out or if they've particularly boycotted me.
I think they've excluded you from it because they want you to just be,
They want me to play my own sound baths and hung drums.
Exactly. Don't change a thing, Dmitri. We don't want anyone to interfere with your listening.
What else you got, Trishka? What else popped up this week?
There was a couple other interesting AI stories that weren't related to the big UMG deal, and one of them was that this is also from Music Ally. 56.9% of new independent songs in China are AI generated, which
That's a lot.
A lot of them, yeah. And, there's a lot of questions about how to deal with AI versus human created and where the line lies and all these things. And I think it's just going to come to a head. What a song is. I'm also like, China has a specific relationship with social media, audio, I'm thinking about things like live shopping, which has always been like way more established there than it doesn't seem to really have caught on as much in the US. Like there's something very interesting about Chinese internet culture. So I don't know whether that explains some of just the proportion.
Or maybe they're just being more honest about the numbers, or maybe it's what's coming.
Yeah.
A lot of times these kind of innovations, including the live shopping, move from the East and they go West. Like look at cameras, they moved from the East, they went West.
Yeah.
SMS moved from the East, went S.
The sun goes from the East, the moon.
Yeah, it's all natural. It's all part of the natural
exactly.
cycles, the seismic cycles of the Earth and the planets. Trista, the other thing that it brought up for me was even just reading the sentence, AI-generated works accounted for 56.9% of independently released new songs in China. What does release mean? That's the other thing. Like, is posting on a social media platform a release now?
Yeah, that's a hard question. And exactly how, there's some places where you can just release directly from an online DAW, right, for free. You can distribute to a certain number of, that's versus it is a strange... I'm wondering if that definition is going to change too. Also, one last thing, Digital Music News again reported that there are artists who are suing Stability AI because they have attempted to opt out of training sets. And apparently that opt out is not, it's kind of just going into the void and not succeeding in removing their works from the pool of tracks that are being used to train. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And there's just 2026 is going to be a very interesting year, I think, both in the good and the bad sense. So that was basically most of the news that caught my eye and ear this past week. And so, Dmitri, thank you so much for chatting about what's going on in music innovation.
Always great to catch up with you, and thanks for scanning the news. Make sure to sign up to the Rock Paper Scanner newsletter from rockpaperscissors.biz to keep up with these articles. And we'll do it again next week, Tristra. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Dmitri.
Open your calendar app, get your planner out, take a note. The Music Tectonics Conference will be back in Santa Monica, California, October 27th through 29th, 2026. Same great venues, same great beach. Interstellar programming, galaxy-wide network. You don't want to miss it. Be sure to subscribe to the newsletter at musictectonics.com to get other exciting conference updates. Can't wait to see you in Santa Monica, October 27th through 29th, 2026.
Now for our feature interview.
Hey, Dmitri here with Music Tectonics, and I am just back from CES, and at the same time, I'm seeing a lot of conversation online about are trade shows and conferences worth it? So having just come back from CES, I thought maybe I could talk a little bit about that, as well as give you some snippets of some of the cool innovations that I saw at CES this year in Las Vegas. So first off, let's talk about trade shows and conferences. I mean, do you want to do any more Zoom calls? I know that I am very happy that we've sort of evolved into doing sales calls all the time and partnership calls and team calls, internal, external, whatever, via Zoom. That's great because it's better than the old days when it was all just audio. You could see people interact, but we do get a little fatigued by it. So one of the great things about trade shows and conferences is you actually get to interact with people in person. And if you think about it, what's going on? You get to see somebody's real emotional reaction to things. You can try new prototypes or do a demo of a product and really get that tactile sense of it, which is even relevant for software too, where you have somebody right there with you to explain things and so forth. And the truth is, at Rock, Paper, Scissors, conferences and trade fairs have been the biggest leads generation source for our entire business, whether we were doing PR for record labels and artists and festivals or technology companies, software companies, product, musical instrument companies, etc. It's always been the best place for us to meet people and interact with people as well. Now, it seems like maybe I'm biased because I run a conference myself, the Music Tectonics Conference, but the truth is I started the conference because I got so much out of trade fairs and conferences myself as a business, as an entrepreneur. So it's not so much that I'm biased about, hey, everybody come to my conference. It's more that they're so good for business that I started my own conference as well, which has made them even more powerful and effective and creating a lot of ROI for us as well. So I guess as you're thinking about, and these topics come up, like CES is so big, it's so hard to navigate. NAMM, has had its ups and its downs post-pandemic. We're going to be there with a 10 by 20 booth, our biggest booth and experience with clients and partners and exhibitors this year, which is exciting for us. And then, the topic of South by Southwest in Austin has come up too, whether you're in music, tech, or something else. Is it going to be worth it? They're shortening the week this year. The conference is a couple of days shorter. The Austin Convention Center is under construction. So now even today, I just got emails from somebody saying, are you going? Is it worth it? What are you hearing? Are we going to have more crowds because the tech and the music's going to be overlapped, or are the music people not going to come, or the tech, how's it all? Nobody knows what to expect. Every time you have a shift of a large event like that, nobody knows what to expect. But what I find is sometimes when it's a little quieter for some infrastructure reason or some shift in policy or society or healthcare or whatever, you actually end up finding new opportunities there. So back to CES, just back. I was told that all the business takes place in the suites. CES is a crazy show because this annual consumer electronics trade fair happens the first week of January. Really tough. People take off the last couple of weeks of December. If you're in physical product, consumer electronics, December is a crazy time already with the biggest sales of the year happening then, the most units shipped. And here you are getting ready for a trade show at the same time. So it's definitely a hectic time of year. For me personally, it was the first time I went to CES this year. I've sent team members there and they come back every time saying, this is so overwhelming. So I started to ask around, what should we be getting out of CES? How should we approach it? What's the best way to get the ROI? And definitely there were some execs, really successful execs who told me all of the business happens in the suites and you have to know who to ask and have invitations or have meetings scheduled in advance, which was my plan. But the holidays still happened. I still wanted to take some time off. And I'm here to say that even though I only went into one suite at CES, my first CES, I had an amazing time. And I know that I'm going to get tons of business there, tons of great conversations, lots of leads. In my case, as a marketing and a PR company, I'm looking to meet with decision makers around marketing. And I felt like at a lot of the booths and exhibits that I visited, I was able to talk to the head of marketing or the person that actually does the delivery of the service, a lot of decision makers and stakeholders that would be involved with hiring us. So I would say these people who told me go hang out in the suites, they're probably right. If you're going to be doing big multi-million-dollar deals, those deals obviously aren't happening on the trade floor. But there's a lot of other use cases in which being on the trade floor is going to be really valuable. So when people talk broadly, are trade shows no longer relevant? Are conferences dead? I say no. I think it's just like the rest of society. There's a pendulum and we are not swinging away from real life experiences. I think just like in terms of just general mass consumer behavior, people want IRL experiences. It's the same in business. It's really hard to get through on LinkedIn and Instagram and social media platforms or via email. You know what your return rates are there, your click rates and your open rates and even your conversion rates there. There is a special thing that happens when you meet people in person. So I don't think trade fairs are dead. I know they're expensive to get to. I know it's way cheaper to just hop on a Zoom call. But if you do them right, there's so much value to extract from real life experiences with other people in business. So now, I would love to share with you several of the innovations that I spotted at CES. So I actually shot some video, took some recordings of some interesting things I found. I'm always looking towards a music tech eye, but I'm also interested in the broader innovation space and technology as well. In this case, I found about 4 people and companies that I just thought, this is kind of cool. So I shot some quick videos with them. So for the first one, I shot a video with Crosley, the turntable company, radio company, and it actually wasn't the technology that got me excited. They did a really interesting project with high school students across the country, and it was very artistic. It was a really cool way to engage with audiences, a great marketing campaign, honestly. So that's partly why I was so interested in seeing it. Plus, it just looks really good. Check this out.
All right, I'm here with Andrea Wellkamp from Crosley. How you doing?
I'm great.
We're at CES.
It's great to be out here.
What do you got here?
All right, so this is about our custom cruiser CAD test. We had our first nationwide contest in 2025. We sent 250 blank canvas-wrapped cruisers to high schools across the country.
These guys here.
All of these, just a small sampling. So yeah, had our first contest to kind of get people more engaged with the Crosley brand.
So wait, they had blank canvases?
They had blank canvases, our iconic cruiser record player. We had 250 high schools participate for 42 states.
Wow.
And they competed for over $5,000 in prize money for their high school art programs.
So they got to customize all of these, and then the school got to keep the record players.
The school got to keep the record players, and then the winning schools got money donated to their art department to help fund art supplies. And the winning students also each got to take home their own Crosley cruiser.
Amazing. Getting people into vinyl at the earliest ages.
Absolutely. Well, and if you think about high schoolers today, they didn't grow up with any type of physical music.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't have cassettes, they didn't have CDs, they certainly didn't have vinyl. So it's fun introducing the joy of the physical listening experience to a younger generation.
I love it. What kind of stories came out of it? Anything cool? Anything that you heard from students, or is it pretty much the artwork speaks for itself?
The students loved it. I mean, it was a great way for them to show off their creativity.
Yeah.
The theme for 2025 was band together. You know, certainly with what's going on in the world today, it's always good to remind ourselves like what connects us instead of what divides us. So that was a perfect theme, and it was so fun to see how different students interpreted that. There was also a social media component to the competition. You know, schools had to get votes to become our regional winners, our top 5, but they also got additional bonus votes for likes and shares on social media. So the students also had a lot of fun showing off their designs on social media to kind of garner some of those bonus votes.
So much fun. I wish I had that when I was a kid.
I do too.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks so much, Andrew. This is a blast.
You.
That was really fun checking out what Crosley was up to. I also ran into people at the Audio Sync meetup, which was really cool. Marisol Siegel, Prisgoda, Mike Gubman, some music tech OGs host an Audio Sync meetup every year at CES at the Chandelier Bar. Super fun. It was the top kind of like networking event that I went to at all of CES for the work that I do. And while I was there, somebody introduced me to a new company called Sleevenote. This is cool. We've worked with retro music tech before, like cassette players, boomboxes, great stuff, gets great reactions from the press and from influencers. But this is like a new version of an iPod, but it's different. Watch this and check it out. I think you'll really like this one.
I'm here with Tom Kell with Sleevenote. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
We're here at CES. It's crazy, right?
Yes.
We found a quiet spot though, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
So tell me, what do you got here?
Well, not in an official capacity, but I'm walking around with our Sleevenote pre-prototype. It's a music player with a square screen.
Nice. What does it do?
Well, it plays music, but importantly, it makes a ritual of music releases. So we kind of describe it as a cross-pollination of vinyl and an iPod, if you can imagine that. So we look after a database that adds additional artwork to releases. There's a back cover in that sense. Wow. And if I go up here to an artist of ours they've added like full, the full liner notes basically, which...
Liner notes are back finally.
Yeah, I mean, they're so cool. I always thought that they were so cool.
Yeah, me too.
It's so different from just seeing the information as just, text it's just different to what like liner notes.
I used to always say everything I learned about music was from liner notes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, me too. I loved reading them.
Yeah.
I think it lets artists, build more of a world around their releases, and they can control how it feels. And also as a kind of time capsule, I think it's kind of nice to, when you check in with an artist, you'll be seeing them on social media. It's like them now, Yeah. And I think the thing about releases, they are very much time capsules. And sleeve art lets you go back to what was going on, at the time.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here, the fact that they're kind of dynamic, it does mean that an artist can add to their release, throughout the release period as well. So I think that they're kind of liner notes in a sort of traditional way, but I think they can also act as a bit of more of a modern kind of documentation as well. So there's interesting stuff that's on the kind of software and database side, which we've been working on Sleevenote for a long time. For several years we've had that, but we wanted to build an experience that helped people just focus on music. So this idea, I've wanted to do hardware for a long time. And I love, tech and hi-fi tech, and I just feel there's kind of it's on your phone, the music on your phone is just there's just so much else going on.
Yeah, totally. Have a dedicated device.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, I could give you this and you could look at my music collection on this, but I wouldn't give you my phone, to
it's like flipping through somebody's vinyl.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, look at my Spotify playlist.
Yeah, exactly. Be like,
let me ask you about the specs real quick. So you'll have Bluetooth, you'll have headphones, either of those.
Headphone jack,
you'll have some kind of interface to get music downloads onto the device.
Yeah, exactly, because we are making it for music that you own, that you have. It seems like the right time to kind of make that cool. It could support streaming, but I think we're sort of making a stand there and being like, this is for music that you love enough to buy. And I think now you'd have a place to put music that you buy. I think it makes that seem a bit more valuable. There's a bit more reason to buy it. So,
totally.
We like the idea of getting quite tight integration with Bandcamp. So,
that's perfect.
We've already got something up and running where you buy something with Bandcamp, you chuck the zip into our transfer protocol thing that we designed, and it will sync up and show up here. So
nice.
We want it to be super
perfect.
Yeah, super
amazing,
delightful.
Tom, we got to see it first here, prototype at CES. Thanks for
having me.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, so those were two great recordings that I caught at CES. There's a couple of other ones that I talked to. The audio was a little rougher. It was at louder parts of the trade hall, but I still want to share little snippets from you. The first one that I saw is a company called Vrch, VRCH. It was actually a prototype. It was really fun to be able to check out products that haven't been launched yet. This one is crazy. It's an AI-optimized VJ console. It's got a camera that faces the DJ. They can type in AI chats. And the guy who was running it he's the inventor, really cool guy, a DJ himself. Check out what Vrch was like.
Okay, what do you got here?
Okay, first, we are using AI to do a live analysis of the audio input. So it's just analog audio, and it will analyze the audio second by second to get the characteristics, the emotions involved in the music. And then the AI agent will generate the visual based on the understanding of the music. But if you are not satisfied with what the AI is giving to you, you can always add your own creative ideas through test prompts. And you can also save your prompt here as a template. So during the actual performance, you can always switch to different visual style instantly. Finally, we also can have the camera as the input. So we can use the camera feed, and let me tune the parameters a little bit. So the camera feed will be blended into the visual, so we can do interactions with the audience or the performer. Yeah, it's coming out of my face.
Nice. That guy is right there. Actually, that's my hand. Nice. Who uses this? What's it used for?
Right. We mainly build this for the DJs, actually. It's my DJ friends who really wanted it to incorporate with their audio performance, so they can have the visual instantly behind. So we built this into this small rig that can be placed alongside the DJ deck. You just have audio input from your mixer, and it will do the visual stuff. But right now, we also rent it and sell it to the music venues, to the clubs, to the bars. Yeah, this kind of situation. Anywhere with the music and with the screen installed can have our system working with them to have a bespoke visual.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that, Ming. This is awesome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I have one last pick from the CES trade floor. It's a company called Vobble, Vobble. It's a really cool device. It's about the size of a TV remote control, and the idea is to have a healthy and a safe and creative place for young people, for kids, basically. That's a digital device that can keep them entertained. Basically, it asks you to tell a story or to start a story by coming up with a character. You can give it a little more context, and then the device starts telling you a brand new story customized to your prompt. So it's super entertaining. You can obviously engage with other media with existing stories, and there's plans to add music to it as well. It's a really, really fun new piece of technology that I think is great for kids when you don't want to give them a smartphone and be open to everything in the world, but still have creativity, entertainment, interactivity. And also the founders were awesome. Two moms from India who created a really, really great looking and sounding device. Check it out.
All right, what do you got there?
So we're an interactive audio device for kids that not only lets kids listen to audio content, but create audio stories, play interactive audio games, and talk to their favorite characters all on this nifty device. So let me show you how Create works. So kids can now create a quick story.
I am Abby. Let's create your imagination story.
Can you create a story about a wild purple dragon that breathes fire?
A wild purple dragon that breathes fire. It sounds exciting.
Confirmed.
Great.
And now we have a fully immersive audio story with sound effects, music, background score, and dialogue in a matter of seconds.
A swirling mist parted as Leo scrambled up the loose stones, his heart pounding. Soy! Maya! The purple scales! Eye over that ridge! Maya, clutching her backpack, stared at the claw marks gouged into the boulder. Are you sure it's not just another goat? Last time it was a goat. This time, it's real. Look! Purple scales! Leo held up a shimmering
And
scale.
so kids can store this, create episode 2, episode 3, and share it with their friends and family. And yeah, that's what both can do.
How'd you come up with the idea for this?
So both me and my co-founder were parents. We saw our kids get addicting to screens. And during the pandemic, we decided that we wanted to start something. And we found that audio was something that was really powerful. It's shown to increase your motivation, reading motivation, and even your attention span. And when we saw that for our own kids, we decided to start this.
Does it do anything else?
You can play interactive audio games. So think trivia, think choose your adventure. We also have audio content that we put every day, like the news and dad jokes and riddles that kids can interact with. And they can also have conversations about their favorite topics with their favorite characters.
What happens if kids lose it?
You can, there's a find me option. So the device is connected to a parent's phone and the parent has full visibility on what their child is doing. They have controls and the find me options on that.
We ever do anything with music?
Yes. So we're not going to just stop with audiobooks and podcasts. We want to bring music on board as well. So now all your favorite songs and all your favorite artists, you can do karaoke with them. You can create your own music, play interactive audio games, and have conversations about them.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much.
So those were just a few of the highlights from CES. You know, honestly, I was looking for innovative things that you might not have found elsewhere. And I hope you enjoyed just getting a little bit of a snippet of some of the cool stuff I saw at CES. Know that this was my one experience at a trade fair, at a conference, at the Consumer Electronics Show. Everyone probably had a million different experiences there. There was so much to do there. It was a bit overwhelming, but I thought it would be fun to share some of those snippets and also to put it in this context of there is value at these in real life gatherings of folks to do business. In fact, I'm about to head off to NAMM, the big musical instrument conference in Anaheim, where we're going to have our own Rock, Paper, Scissors Innovators Hub. We'd love to introduce you to 8 really innovative music tech, musical instrument, gear, even some software companies that we think are doing the most innovative stuff. So come on by. We're in Hall A at the Rock, Paper, Scissors Innovation Hub, not far from the MIDI Association's booth. We'll be doing a Innovators meetup at MIDI Association's booth on Saturday as well. So come by, shout yourself out on the microphone there and show us what you got there as well. I think there's a lot to be done at conferences and trade fairs, and I'm hoping I get to see you at one soon, maybe NAMM, South by Southwest, or certainly Music Tectonics on the Beach, October 27th to 29th in Santa Monica, California. It's a blast. All right, let's go do some business in person. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to Music Tectonics. If you like what you hear, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. We have new episodes for you every week. Did you know we do free monthly online events that you, our lovely podcast listeners, can join? Find out more at musictectonics.com. And while you're there, look for the latest about our annual conference and sign up for our newsletter to get updates. Everything we do explores the seismic shifts that shake up music and technology, the way the Earth's tectonic plates cause quakes and make mountains. Connect with Music Tectonics on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. That's my favorite platform. Connect with me, Dmitri Vrch, if you can spell it. We'll be back again next week, if not sooner.
You're listening to Music Tectonics.